I like to call this segment Little Things. Little things that I missed while I was gone for 3 days. Good God. Started off with J.D. Vance. Did he kill the Pope? Did he not? It's a possibility. Reached out, touched the man's hand, and like 12 hours later, the dude's dead. Look, I'm kind of only half kidding. He is an old man, but honestly, if I had been the Pope and had to meet that slimy, greasy motherfucker, maybe I would have kicked the bucket too. I don't know. It's like the Pope, who, by the way, Pope Frank, as far as popes go, not a bad one. He said about the LGBT Q. He said that they're all God's children. That's not a high bar, but he managed to step over that bar. He even said the same thing about trans people. He spoke out against war. He spoke out about what Israel is doing and all the children who are dying. I'm sure Donald Trump would probably call him a Palestinian at this point because he said something normal and sane about maybe we shouldn't kill a bunch of Palestinian children. Jesus. Goddamn. But always beware of late converts. J.D. Vance is, rumored to be an Opus Dei, but he's definitely a hardcore Catholic. He converted in like 2018, so that was one of the reasons why he wanted to meet with the Pope. And the Pope did dress the Pope didn't dress him down. The Pope got his closest emissary to meet with J.D. Vance first before he got a chance to shake the Pope's hand. And apparently that emissary dressed him down. Do you remember Inauguration Day? They went to that, I think it was a Presbyterian church, and they had this woman bishop give a sermon. And you see Donald Trump and JD and their wives in the front row kind of squirming because the bishop looks at him and goes, maybe we could exercise a little compassion, like what Jesus would do. Or, maybe be kinder to marginalized communities, like Jesus would do. And, you see all of these people in the Republican Party. There was one guy that says, we need to deport her. She's from New Jersey. What are you going to deport her, back to? These people are not serious people. And their fascism is showing, So anyway, J.D. Vance, kill the Pope? Maybe. I don't know. Another little thing. Nancy Mace, who's a representative. I can't remember what state she's a representative of. She's a Republican, and she's a show woman. She's all about the shows. I saw a meme recently of a bunch of conservative women, and, they got their faces are just full of Botox and silicone and yanked surgeries. And she's another one of these, she's always out there with her tits out and showing off the wares. And she was that one that wore a scarlet letter because they're coming after me. All of these crazy leftists are all coming after me. They're all out to get me. That's the thing with mega conservative fascist types. They're always super strong, but they're incredibly weak and they're always put upon. Well, Nancy Mace was in a drugstore and a gay man came up to her, not critiquing the gay man at all. I watched the video. He's gay. He's a good-looking gay guy. He's definitely a bear. He's a big guy, But he asked the representative, are you going to be having any town halls? And recently she did a phone town hall, which lasted for like 20 minutes. It's not exactly the same thing as actually being in the room with your constituents. But he asked her that, and, he doesn't seem like he's an uneducated man. The Republican Party has already warned Republican representatives to probably not do so many town halls because people are showing up to these town halls in droves, just tearing them new asses, screaming at them about the fascism of Trump and the Doge boy Elon Musk, and they're worried about their Social Security, they're worried about civil rights, they're worried they're about the economy, and they are giving these Republicans a real hard time in the town hall. So that's why Nancy Mace hasn't been doing any in-person town halls. She just did that phone one. So this guy asked her that, and Nancy Mace just goes off on him, just loses her shit, and he's like, I'll have you know that I voted for gay rights so many years ago. And he goes, I just asked you if you're going to do a town hall, honey. I didn't ask you, to protect the gays. Why did you automatically just go to that? What, you notice that I'm gay and you think that that's the only thing that I'm concerned with? I'm a trans woman. You think that I am just concerned with trans ideology, whatever the fuck that is, but you think that that's the only thing that concerns me? I'm concerned about the economy. I'm concerned about civil rights. I'm concerned about wars with every other country. I'm concerned about the cost of goods going through the roof and people getting laid off. I am not a one-issue voter. Maybe, her Republican constituents are one-issue voters. Trans and immigrants, they're all horrible. They're out to get us. Maybe that's what it is. And she just assumes, because every accusation is a fucking confession. My side only cares about like one or two things. Y'all are only caring about like woke stuff and gay folks. It's like, no, man. We actually give a shit about what's going on in our country. We actually care about the Constitution. Y'all wrap yourselves in the flag and talk about the Constitution like it's going out of style. But when it actually comes to upholding the principles of the Constitution, you're a little wishy-washy on that one. You know what I mean? And that's not me. And that's not the majority of leftists that I talk to, or even liberals. When I went out to the protests the last time, those were just regular old common, everyday, ordinary, just liberals. Watch the news maybe an hour a day, get a news story here and there. They're not steeped in it like I am. And they're just as concerned as anybody else. So Nancy Mace just goes off on this guy, and it ends up in you can go fuck yourself. Get out of my fucking face. And then the guy finally walks away, and she goes, you couldn't handle me, buddy. You couldn't handle me. It's like, I ain't never seen anybody so goddamn scared in my life, man. And just that whole, I'm tough, I'm strong, I could take you. You better run, hold me back. God damn, these people. They're just fucking hopeless. Nancy Mace, goddamn girl, you're a fuckwit. You really are. The Pentagon is in complete disarray, even though they're about to get a $1 trillion budget infusion. They're all over the place because of Pete Egg Sweat. That last interview that he did on the White House lawn on Easter with his kids sitting behind him, snickering because it's like, yeah, I know what daddy looks like when he lies. Lying his ass off. I mean, look, how do you trust a guy who can't seem to measure out his sideburns? I mean, seriously, folks. You can't figure that out? I'm only half kidding. But, so the Pentagon is not in great shape right now. That's not that I really am a big advocate for the war machine, but, at least it should be moderately competent. But, you're being led by a woman-abusing drunk who couldn't find his ass from his fucking elbow. He'd have to reach around his elbow to get to his ass. Jesus Christ, this guy. But yeah, straight out of Central Casting, folks. That Pete, he's a leaky Pete. I'm going to let it slide because, it's got nothing to do with me and I don't really know anything about it. We'll have to look into that whole Pete thing, but Pete's doing a great job. Going to get $1 trillion for the military budget. He's going to do wonders with it. The only things that he ever ran, he ran them into the ground. Maybe that's why Trump likes him. He sees a kindred spirit, Let's see here. What else? What else we got? We're talking about sending troops, American troops to Yemen. So we're not just going to be bombing them from the air. Pete Hegseth and his signal gate. By the way, that is the top point out of all of this. That whole, did he leak it? Is it a security breach? All these other people. That was the thing that Pete said while he was on the White House lawn. He's like, these anonymous people are just disgruntled former employees. It's like, well, if they're anonymous, how do you know that they're disgruntled employees? He's trying to do the Trump thing. He's trying to do the fake news. But here's the problem, Pete. Trump's the only guy that seems to be able to get away with that. Anybody else that comes out there with the fake news and, the election was stolen and whatever, it doesn't seem to wash with the American people. Don is the only guy that can get that. You ain't Don. But anyway, they're talking about putting American boots on the ground in Yemen. And nobody's talking about it. Nobody. It's not on the news anywhere. I've seen like one report on it, but they're thinking about it. So we've got that to look forward to. Just another new Middle Eastern conflict. And we're sending more American young people to go die in it. Fantastic, man. That's just great. Let me see. What else? I heard Fascist Barbie, the press secretary, she said, was it today or yesterday, that people who are defaulting on their student loans will now be sent to debt collection and possibly garnishing their wages. Oh, that is just awesome. 40% of people with student loans are up to date on their payments. That means 60% of student loan, havers are not up to date. We're taking away the goodies. Everything is going up in price. People are going to be getting fired, and you can't pay your rent. But if you don't pay your student loan, they're getting rid of the programs to have these people come in and be like, okay, well, let me pay a smaller amount because that's what I can afford. No, they're getting rid of that too. When is the debtor's prison coming? Because that's what's next. Oh, you can't, you don't have any wages to garnish now that you've been fired from your job. I guess we're just going to have to throw you in jail. We got rid of debtor's prisons 500 years ago. It doesn't work, man. Oh, Jesus Christ. Tesla stock is way down. Who saw that coming? I don't understand why people are so mean to me. I think I'm going to be ending my visit here in Washington because people are being so just cruel to me, and I don't understand why. The biggest eye roll I've ever had in my life. You don't get it. I thought you were a fucking genius, man. Anyway, Tesla, who, by the way, if I was on the board of Tesla, I wouldn't, because they're talking about Elon needs to come back to Tesla and, stay away from Doge, the thing that he kind of started, which, by the way, speaking of damages already done, he's already got all of his little, his little Doge twinks, he's embedded all throughout government agencies. So, the damage is done. He could walk away and everything would still probably be running the same way that he left it. But, Tesla's like, he needs to leave Doge and come back to Tesla. Dude, if I was a Tesla executive, I would ask that motherfucker to step down and never even say the word Tesla again. But Elon can't do that because his ownership of Twitter is tied to that. His ownership of a lot of different assets are tied to the value of Tesla. And here's the interesting thing. They're down $2 billion in revenue right now. Europe doesn't want to have their products. People in America are not buying his products. Would you want to buy the Nazi mobile? I sure as shit don't. But if they didn't have their, what do you call it, carbon credits, if Tesla didn't have, since Tesla's battery operated and it doesn't burn any carbon, they get carbon credits as a government subsidy. And what they end up doing is taking those carbon credits that they have accumulated over time for not burning carbon, which by the way they do, because it's, electricity that you charge your battery comes from, the central grid, but whatever. They take those carbon credits and they sell them to other companies so other car companies can balance out their carbon books. And that's how they make a large amount of their money. If they didn't have those carbon credits, Tesla would have tanked. It would have taken a huge loss. So anyway, Elon's cooked. He's always been cooked. He's been cooked for years, but Jesus Christ, he's, manic state, psycho, fascistic, robber baron, Sig Heil throwing idiot, because he's not smart, never invented jack or shit. So, Elon, he's cooked. Over the last couple of months, I've been hearing like staunch, hardcore MAGA Republicans like Steve Bannon say, Donald Trump, he's going to cut the military and he's going to put in a millionaire's tax. He's a populist. You just wait and see. And he just interviewed Donald Trump the other day and somebody asked him about a millionaire's tax and he goes, I don't know. I mean, that might cause some millionaire flight. They'd leave the country. I've heard this argument so many fucking times, and it is just obscene how wrong it is. Where are they going to go? Dubai? Saudi Arabia? There's nowhere else to go. First of all, if you are an American citizen, I don't care if you are living in Sri Lanka or Kathmandu, you still got to pay American taxes because you're an American. So what, are they going to give up their citizenship? I mean, and people are like, well, what if they, they move their money somewhere else or stash it in the Cayman Islands or they start building industry somewhere else? They're already doing that. We have a problem in this country allowing migrants to cross the border, but we have no problem allowing billionaire executives their money to cross the border. And people like Donald Trump facilitate that. They call it repatriation. They allow huge, unbelievable, unfathomably sized mountains of money to pass through our border for the billionaire's sake. But, can't have any migrant coming here to pick some apples or some, heads of lettuce or something. Whatever, I digress. But Donald Trump was asked the other day about a millionaire's tax, and he said that there's going to be, there's going to be monetary flight and people won't, they won't stay here. They will not leave. You might get a couple of people to, a couple of ridiculously wealthy people, but they ain't going nowhere. They were all there for the inauguration. Jeff Bezos and Jeff Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and, Ike Perlmutter and, all the Hollywood executives. Oh, Hollywood is filled with liberals. Oh, please, man. Hollywood executives galore. David Sachs and Joe Rogan and all of these ridiculously influential or wealthy people were at that fucking inauguration. They ain't going nowhere. But, Donald Trump talking about, we can't have a millionaire's tax. Of course he wasn't going to do a millionaire's tax. Steve Bannon saying that is absolute horse shit. Man, they're going to get a huge fucking tax cut. And they're screaming and yelling right now. If the tax cuts go away, it's going to go, the upper marginal tax rate for the billionaire class is going to go from 37% to 39%. Ooh, 2 whole points? You're really upset about that? Meanwhile, corporate tax, that went from 35 to 21. They want to get it down to 15. And that's not even talking about effective tax rates, because all of these executives and corporations, they all have mountains of lawyers and accountants to make sure that their tax rate is something like 2-3%. I remember a few years ago, they had the richest guys and their taxes came out. And I think the highest taxpayer was Michael Bloomberg, who paid like 3.5% income tax. And he was the high one. It's like, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jeff Bezos got a fucking tax cut. He got a tax return of like, $150 million. He didn't pay anything. So just to pretend like those people are going to leave this country, it's just the stupidest, undying lie. It will not go away. They will keep marching that goddamn thing out on Fox News. Oh, what, the rich people will leave. No, they won't. And by the way, everybody on Fox News makes $20-25 million a year. They don't want to pay more taxes. Donald Trump's like, oh, we can't do that to the rich people. They're the ones that pay all the taxes. It was just tax season recently. Did you not pay any taxes, you common peasant, you? Oh, that little bit of money that you had to write a check for to the government. You don't pay any taxes. It's only the rich people. You got no skin in the game. They're the ones with all the skin in the game. Go fuck yourself, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's a handful of crazy things that I missed, but there's more. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you saw, please like and subscribe. Keep rocking.